Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this live NSO session, Living on Campus, hosted by the Office of Orientation and Transition Programs, University Media Services, and Residence Life and Housing. My name is Kelly Murray, and I am the Interim Director for Orientation and Transition Programs, and I'll be assisting with today's session. In this session, our presenter will be providing information about what it's like to live on campus, and we'll give you the opportunity to ask questions. If you have a question during the session today, please type your question into the Q&A box, which will be monitored by myself. For this presentation, we will respond to questions via the Q&A box, and we'll also prompt Michelle as we go through today's session. So I will turn it over to Michelle to get us started.
Thanks so much, Kelly. I really appreciate the warm welcome, and welcome to all of you. We are so excited to welcome you onto our campus in just a very short period of time. Spring semester classes start in less than 2 weeks. And I'm sure many of you are wondering, when am I going to find out about living on campus? Well, I'm here to talk to you about all sorts of things around living on campus today. Again, my name is Michelle Kane. I use she, her pronouns. I've been here at the University of Delaware for just over 24 years in a variety of capacities, all in residence life and housing. But right now, my primary responsibilities are our application and assignment processes, our business operations, which includes billings, and our overall occupancy management aligning with the institutional mission and goals. Let me talk to you a little bit about the UD housing experience. We're very focused on our mission, and our mission is pretty simple. It's one line. It's to actively partner with students and campus colleagues to create a once-in-a-lifetime community experience where students learn, contribute, thrive, and achieve their aspirations. And I really do mean that this mission drives what we do on a daily basis. And most of that is happening because of the amazing staff that we have on our team. And I don't just say that to be boastful of myself, but we have been known to win national and international awards with some groundbreaking stuff being done right in our residence halls. And it's really with the students, not necessarily to the students, but with them and for them. And that's something that our over 200 staff members help make happen on a daily basis. I want to talk to you a little bit about who those staff members are. We have nearly 200 resident assistants in our residence halls on the floors where our students will be living. Those students are going to be our upper division students who have 1 or 2 years of experience, maybe 3 or 4, living on our campus residence halls. They are involved in a variety of leadership opportunities around our campus, but they have also received extensive training, understanding how to create communities, help find students in their time of need and make sure they get to the proper resources so that they are helped appropriately, and really help foster community relationships within the floor, helping students connect to one another based off of common interests or goals, as well as making sure that those students have a space to feel like home, quite honestly. The resident assistants will be the place where your student might first connect with for assistance or help or just some general guidance. Our resident assistants are supervised by our residence hall coordinators and our graduate assistant hall directors. Our residence hall coordinators are master's level professionals who live in the area where our students are. They are there to provide 24/7 crisis management, but really they are guiding the direction of the community, providing those opportunities for students to connect, being there as a referral and a resource for those students when their needs are beyond the capacity of our resident assistants. And again, showing how that mission can be lived daily in our residence halls. And then we have our central office team. We have a variety of educated professionals who have various experience and talents to make sure that things go well for our systems, which is my kind of area of job, and the supervision of our residence halls, as well as developing partnerships across our campus with our facilities teams, our orientation and transition programs teams, our other university student centers groups, so many other teams that we collaborate with across the campus to make that experience happen in our residence halls. When you first come to our residence halls on that first day, you'll find our staff are there to welcome you. They will talk to you about the activities that we have in our residence halls, and they'll get our students connected to each other. We have over 300 new students joining our residence halls this semester, so you're not alone if you're brand new to the university. So please, I understand some people think there's going to be groups already formed. There's going to be people who have already made friends. Yeah, of course. but they're all there to welcome you as well. They remember what it's like to be a brand new student in this area, and they're going to be there to help show you and guide you along. Our resident assistants, like I mentioned, will also be there, and they're going to help you create those relationships with your roommates and or suite mates. They'll help connect you. They'll help guide what we call roommate agreements, so that as you're coming new into those spaces, you're all getting on the same page quickly, hopefully to create some really great opportunities for connection. Our resident assistants will connect with you one-on-one too. So it's something you should really expect. They'll talk to you about your goals, your interests, challenges that you're experiencing, again, so they can help guide you to the right resource and the right activities across our campus to get you really involved very quickly. A note about housing. So if you're a first-year student or what's called a freshman transfer, and those are designations from our admissions team office, you are guaranteed housing. You should have already received something in the application process that told you as much. While our transfer students, our true transfer students, are not immediately guaranteed, we have been able to continuously guarantee applications that we are receiving. So we do have some challenges in housing everyone, because you might have an accommodation need that might be a little more challenging for us to meet at this time of the year, because our spaces like a single or spaces in air-conditioned spaces might be taken up. We'll do our best to work with you as we get through into the year to see if we can provide you an opportunity in a space that does provide that accommodations. They are limited. We don't guarantee them, but again, we'll try to find spaces even after the beginning of the semester to see if anything has come open, so we can make sure that we find that accommodation for you. Our students are housed in different types of housing. Our first-year students, and for most part, it looks like all of our freshman transfer students will be in what we call traditional style housing and suite style housing. Traditional style housing is kind of like what most people think about when they think about a residence hall or a dorm, whichever word you want to use, it's okay. We just want you for it to be your new home. That's a long corridor with rooms on either side, and usually 2 bathrooms on the floor, one designated for men, one designated for women. So it could be men and women living on the floor, not necessarily in the same bedroom, but on the same floor. Suite style housing is set up where 2 bedrooms are connected by a bathroom. Those 2 bedrooms are for the most part either doubles or triples. They don't have another common space. The only common space is the actual bathrooms. It's important to note that suite styles do provide that semi-privacy, but that also means that we don't go in there to clean the bathrooms, and students are responsible for cleaning those on their own. The traditional residence halls, our custodial team is in there 5 days a week and then do a little refresh on the weekends for cleaning in those spaces. If you're a returning student, upper division student, or transfer student, you might also be placed in our apartment style housing. Our apartment style housing, for the most part, is single bedroom and either a single bathroom or private bathroom or a shared bathroom. And that's over in our University Courtyard apartments. Most of our students will find that they are housed in traditional and suite style apartments. So you're probably all wondering, and I see it in there, about something coming out. So students, just so you know, we've been telling folks repeatedly that we will be getting out housing assignments the last week of January. And guess what we are in? We're in the last week of January right now. So we are doing our best. We believe that we'll hit that button on the send button probably on Thursday. It does take a long time for the actual information to get out to every student. And we do send it to every student, not just new students, because some of our students have moved. This way, everybody gets information about their roommates. And you'll get the information that will include where you're going to be housed. And that includes the building name and the room number and with whom you're housed. So it'll have your roommate or suite mates' names along with their email address. So those do take time to get out because it's pulling in data from a lot of different places. It will go to your @udel.edu email address. So please keep an eye out there. And that is an address that you're going to want to start checking very regularly, starting right about now. If you already had the opportunity, you could have potentially signed up for our Spring into Success program. And again, you'll get information based on that check-in, based off of that program if you already did that already. That program is super popular. We've not been able to, we had to close up that application, but give us a call if you're still super interested, and we'll see if there's any vacancies that have come along. Otherwise, you're going to get that information later on this week. And then come the Sunday, the 5th, you'll move into our residence halls. And I'm going to do a quick share of my screen so you can see where you'll find all this important information. Give me one moment. All right. I hope everybody can see that I am on the homepage of the University of Delaware. So go Hens, we love that right there. Right across the top here, you'll see something that says current students, which you're about to be a current student, and you're going to want to click on that housing button. Under this housing button, you'll see all sorts of amazing information and what's coming up and everything. You've already applied for housing. I'll talk to you about next year's housing in a few minutes. But what you're really going to want to go to is right here where it says prepare for spring move-in. Here you'll see all sorts of good FAQs about our standard check-in time, which is what we'll all fall under at this point. Again, Sunday, February the 5th, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. On that day, you'll find that your check-in location, once you learn where your assignment is, will be based in the residence hall. And you can see a little bit about what that looks like. For most of them, it's a lounge within that space. But what we'll have are lots of people out and about guiding traffic to get you to the right space where you need to go to, and good signage to also assist you with that. Some things about what to expect. So again, you'll come to our residence hall. We'll get you your key signed out. The ID office is going to be open that day as well for any folks who need some assistance with getting their ID if you've already finished uploading your photo to it. They're going to tell you where to get unpacked, where to get your key, and get everything moved in. Here's a nice list about what to bring that is just again, not a necessity, but things that most people find very helpful to have in our residence halls, and also some things on what to leave home. Please be mindful that we do have some things that are prohibited. For example, candles are a real big no-no. Halogen lamps, which most people don't have anymore, but I did see a resurgence of those recently. And extension cords, you're gonna make sure you want to get the ones that have the surge protectors in them. So again, this list all is here. And then what comes in your room? This is about furniture, about each space. For the most part, the standard furniture in a traditional or suite style room is going to be a twin extra long bed, a desk with a chair, and then if you have a closet in the room, you'll have a dresser. If you don't have a closet in the room, you'll have what's called a wardrobe, which is kind of a closet and dresser combination. Find out where you're going to be living. You might be like, I wonder what this space looks like. I recommend going to the Explore Our Halls option here. And here you will find all of our residence halls, and all of our first year residence halls in particular all have a virtual tour opportunity. So here I am, let's say I'm in a first year hall and I'm going to be living, I don't know, let's say I go live over in Harrington. It's one of my favorites. It's right nearby here. It's favorite for a lot of different reasons. But as you come down and scroll down the page, you'll see a bunch of different pieces of information, including the building information and furniture information, so you understand a little bit better. But an option to start the tour. And when you click on that space, you'll start a virtual tour of the room. And what's real cool about this is that you can kind of get into the room and look around. I'm going to full screen that so you can get the full picture. And on the floor, you'll see all these little round circles. But you can also stop on the wall and turn around. So here I am coming in at the front of the room. I'm going to come over to this side. These are, some people call them Z rooms, some people call them S rooms, and they're almost like two rooms connected. Some people create this like this one is, where you see there's like the wardrobes and a desk set up over here, and the bed's over on this space. But some people set it up where they put a bed over here and a bed on the other side. Over this way, and again, you can see this one has both wardrobes. Some of them do also have dressers, but not all of them. So please make sure you just plan on the wardrobe space. But you can see generally what the room looks like. Now, of course, at the point that you're in that space, you might be entering a space where someone has previously been living and they're expecting a new roommate. So do everything possible to reach out to that person to connect with them ahead of time. I'm going to pause for a moment because I see some other Q&As. So I see a question about microwaves and mini fridges. The company who does them on our campus, they are called campus specialties, and they do still have some opportunities for fridge rentals. And I'll see if I can pull up their 800 number to provide to you in just a moment. And then there's a question about a key. So getting into the building, you'll utilize your UDID, your one card is what we also refer to it as. Again, if you haven't received that yet, that's something that either you would have gotten plenty of emails already. I do know that office real well. They do a lot of communication about making sure that you know how to upload a photo, or they are also open that day. On the move-in days, our buildings are what we call unlocked that day. So from that 10 a.m. to that 7 p.m. time, you don't need your UDID to get in and out, which makes it really handy when you've got your hands full with stuff. So do know that we have that option open then. But after 7 o'clock, those doors lock, and it's going to be required to get into the building, your UDID. If you live in, say, Harrington, you only are able to get into Harrington and the spaces around for Harrington. If you live over, say, in James Smith, you only get to go into the building assigned for James Smith. You won't be able to get into, say, George Reed, which is the building right nearby. So that's the security at the front door level. And at the bedroom door level, that is a physical hard key. You will be, when you sign that out, the staff will let you know, be sure to hold on to it. Be sure to lock your room when you're there, and especially at nighttime. You don't want every 102 room looks the same for some people. So if they were in the building that connects to you and they're in the 102, that you don't want them coming into your room. So make sure you lock that door. Some people think that they are on the second floor when they're actually on the third floor. So you don't want somebody confusing your room for their room. Make sure you lock that door. Thank you, Kelly, so much for putting the website for the refrigerator group on there. So if anybody has any interest in ordering, you can connect with them. They come next week to do some deliveries. I know that, but they also will do deliveries after the opening time frame. Oh, somebody said they heard rumors about cockroaches on campus. Well, we live in a world where there are cockroaches. So yes, we definitely have, sometimes they show up in our room. They have been addressed. Our team of pest control very much so addresses them. If there's any facility issue, the moment that you walk in, please go back down to our check-in area and make sure our staff is aware of it. We have custodial staff available and other facilities folks available to address issues immediately if they weren't addressed previously. Sometimes we're not always cognizant, especially in those spaces where there might be a half a space opening, that there might have been something broken that the person before there did not let us know about. So please make sure you let us know. If we don't know, we can't fix it for you. The fantastic thing is that you can always fix it for ready and available, and they will check it on that Sunday of move-in. Their email is simple. It's fixit@udel.edu. So that's FIXIT@udel.edu. I recommend keeping that website, or excuse me, that email address handy, because they will be your best friend anytime you might have an issue in your room. So say a piece of furniture is broken, or maybe you're using the bathroom on the floor and you notice that there's a leak, please let them know. They might get notified other ways, but having those eyes on the floor is really handy for us to make sure that things are fixed very quickly. So I think that we're set on those questions. And it's not to say that I won't take more questions about move-in, but while I have you all, I also want to chat about what happens next year. Soon after you arrive on that February the 5th date, we will be opening the housing application for the 2023-2024 academic year in that first week that students have arrived for classes. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen so you can see where you can find additional information about that. So I'm back at that Harrington space where I was earlier, and I'm going to come back to residence life and housing, the main portion of it. And what I want you to take a look at is where it says current students, because you're going to be a current student at that point. And some frequently asked questions that we get about housing. So this is about housing for next year. One of the things that's real important to note is that housing is not guaranteed all 4 years on our campus. There's going to be this time frame that you're going to want to apply. And here it tells you, when is the housing application open? We are going to be opening it the first week of the spring 2023 semester, and it closes at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, February the 28th. So you're going to want to set yourself an alarm for that weekend beforehand to make sure that you start that application and get it finished. It's not a 2-button application. There's a number of steps because you might want to select roommates. You want to put in preferences for locations that you want to be placed in. You might even want to be in a living learning community. And all those things can only be done if you give yourself the proper amount of time. So please be sure to schedule that in. But that is when that application will be open. And that's the only time it's open. After that 5 p.m., if you call us the following day on that March 1st and you say, I forgot to do it, can I fill out an application? The system is closed. We will not accept any late applications until we open up a late application, which might not be till June. So your best bet to become guaranteed for housing is to apply in that February timeframe. We give priority to returning students based off of the about when you arrived on campus. So folks who, about determining who's guaranteed for housing on campus is on this section. So it's important to recognize that, again, housing is not guaranteed, and not everybody who applies could potentially not be guaranteed. We look to first guarantee students who are going to be sophomores next year, and sophomore is about admitted term. So people who were admitted last fall, people who were admitted this spring, to get priority to be guaranteed housing before somebody who's going to be, say, a junior. And again, it's not by credit, it's about year in college. So we go through our process in February, and then very soon after March 1st, we will send out emails to let people know whether or not they've been guaranteed. And again, getting a space on campus is about getting a space anywhere. Some people might say, but I only want to live in an apartment the following year. Well, you can't just apply to our apartment style housing. It's important to note that when you're applying for housing, you're applying to be guaranteed a space anywhere on our campus. But what it comes down to the type of space and where your own assignment is, that is about the flip. So if we are able to guarantee any seniors, they're going to get to select before juniors, and they're going to get to select before sophomores, and so on and so forth. And that's where it's important to recognize that if you only want an apartment, only 30%, actually it's a little less than 30% of our campus housing for returning students is apartment style. So you have a less than 30% chance of getting an apartment. And while we don't love to see people go off campus, we know that if you only want the apartment, your best option is to go off campus. And I know a lot of people are thinking, I doubt that there's anything available off campus at this time of the year. There is. It might not be a spot on Main Street, for example, but there is plenty of housing and apartment style housing in the area if you're interested in getting something different. So do consider those different needs. But if you need to get housing at all, you need to make sure that you apply in that February timeframe. We have a very generous period where we'll allow you to cancel that application with only a $200 fee. So there's no actual cost to apply for housing, but there is a cost if you're going to cancel that application. We provide all sorts of timelines and deadlines. We'll send out lots of emails and lots of reminders. And if there are family members out there who want that information, students have the opportunity to provide us your email address to be sure that you get sent similar communications. It's not the same exact emails that we send to students, but we also provide you reminders to say things like, your student has signed up for a contract. We want to make sure that you know that they are financially obligated. Your student is about to come to the point of what we call a binding date. Make sure that they cancel if they're no longer interested in housing. So please know we will provide those communications if we're giving your email address, and the student can do that in the application process and in our housing portal. I'm going to pause for a moment and stop sharing my screen and take a look at one more around questions. I see a question about world scholars applying for fall housing since they're required to live in the international house. Yes, you're still required to apply for housing. That's how you actually apply to live in the iHouse. And we also welcome non-world scholars to apply for the iHouse opportunity also. If you're wondering what iHouse is, that is short for International House. It is a living, learning community that primarily is for world scholars and other people who are interested in international living and understanding differences across the world, where we can learn from each other's experiences and perspectives. It's an amazing program hosted by the Center for Global Programs and Studies. I think I've got that CGPS title correct, but it's an amazing opportunity. But to be a part of it, you do have to apply for housing. In that housing application guide, which will be available at the point that the application opens, you'll see details on how to apply. And if you're a world scholar, your program coordinator will also be sending you additional information. They typically run a housing application session to make sure that you're on board and know what you need to get done in order to apply in that space. The question I see here is, are all applications that are in before 2/28 deadline treated equally? Yes, it's not first come, first serve. So it's a great question. It's not first come, first serve. It's just, you have to just get it in. After that, the priority to become guaranteed is first, and that is based off of year in school. And then the priority to get a specific type of space is then after we've guaranteed people and notified you in March, you'll find out if you have where your priority sort of lies. And that kind of means whether or not you'll be able to self-select a space or if you'll have to get assigned by our team. We do our best to keep roommate groups together. That's our top priority. So if you're planning on applying for housing and with someone, you can only do that in that February timeframe. And if you apply to room with somebody and they've selected you as well, at the time that you're guaranteed together. We wouldn't say one of you is guaranteed and the other one is not. It's a joint effort on that piece. At the point of selection, though, we don't guarantee that you'll be able to find something with your roommate. But again, even if you're not able to select and we have to assign you, we place priority on that roommate group being together and do our best to keep them together. Like I said, I've been at the institution for 24 years. In the last, I guess 8 or 9 years, I've been in this position specifically. We've always been able to keep people together who wanted to be together. Again, that's what we find is the top priority, even over the location. Excellent questions, though, and I really appreciate them. I'm going to come back to and share my screen one last time for a few more pieces of information so everybody knows where to find a few more things that might be helpful. Come back on this page where I left. Again, if you come to our main page, you'll see just general information. And I encourage you to kind of scroll around and find your way about what's coming up. This changes often, so you can gain information there. Our parents and families, we welcome you to take a look here. Transfer students, this is more about as you're coming in versus now that you're going to be here. So pieces there that are important. In the Life in Our Halls, you'll see some different opportunities. I'm going to point out those roommate resources because, again, it can be challenging living with somebody that you've never lived with before. We all understand that. I joke all the time that I've had the same roommate for over 20 years and there are still some challenges, but I'm sticking it out. And it's all about that communication, making it work. Where you have the benefit, though, is by having our staff who really want to see you have successful roommate relations. So please, I encourage you to meet with your resident assistant and talk through any problems you're having. They can either help you by saying, I'll sit down with you and your roommate and help you have a conversation. Or they can even just give you some recommendations about how you might manage that conversation on your own and then be there if it's still not working out for you. We do room changes if needed, but we always want to see if somebody can work things out first because it's important for us to be aware of our needs and wants and desires in that roommate relationship before we go to the next one. If we just go to the next one, we might find some of the same challenges there. So again, it's really important for our students to become self-aware so that they can try to figure out how they want to express themselves to others so that they can work through their challenges and differences. It is certainly a skill and technique that you'll need all of your life because I will guarantee you, unless you're in a field where you'll never have to talk to someone, and I don't know too many of those these days, you will always need to work through some challenging times with colleagues, with coworkers, with neighbors, whomever it might be. And we hope that you're able to grow some of those experiences here. And then if you ever need us, the contact us page is going to be real important. Our main office team, and some of those people are changing right now. We're really excited that we've just been able to bring on a few new team members. This in-hall staff team, though, will be super helpful if you're like, well, I need to talk to the person in charge of, let's go with our central buildings. And that's Austin. Austin is fantastic, and he'll be there to help answer your call, anything that you might have going on. And where we always encourage folks, and you'll see it right here at the bottom, is to contact us in these other fashions. We have our email inbox, which is reslife-housing@udel.edu. And then our phone, it's answered most days between from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Our phone number is pretty simple. 302 is the area code for the entirety of Delaware. 831 is the prefix for all offices at the University of Delaware. And those last 4 digits, 4663, actually translate to home. So 302-831 home is our phone number, and we're happy to take your phone calls, like I said, Monday through Friday is when we're answering those calls. If you have to leave us a message, even if it's on those days, because we do anticipate heavier phone traffic and email traffic as we get into these next couple of days when we do release our assignments, please know that it might take us a little longer to get back to you, and your patience is appreciated. I recommend either leaving a voicemail message or an email, not both, so that we're not getting stuck on those pieces. But again, our staff will get back to you as soon as possible. As I mentioned, you might start to hear people saying, oh, I got my assignment. And you're like, I haven't gotten mine yet. It really can take 10 to 12 hours for the system to send out all 7,100 of our assignment emails. So please, your patience is greatly appreciated during that time. Just know that you will get an email. If you heard and you're like, oh my goodness, I still didn't get one, you might want to give us a call at that point. Absolutely. And if there's any problems, we'll see if we can work out something before you move in. But for the most part, we'll work through any challenges around like the actual space that you got put into or something like that after move-in happens, so we can understand what all of our space availability is. I didn't see any new Q&A come up, but just to go back over to the chat that Kelly provided, the mymicrofridge.com is the website for any refrigerator microwave desires. That fixit@udel.edu is a great email to have on hand if you have any problems with any type of facility issue in your room, or if you notice even something in your community on your floor, give us a buzz, or send them a note, because it's going to be really important. But on that day of that you move in, if there's any problems, please come back to our check-in area so we can address it immediately. And then again, our phone number, that 302-831-HOME, our email address, reslife-housing@udel.edu. We'll do our best to get back to you very quickly. It's certainly a point of pride for us, but can be challenging in our busier traffic times when we release assignments. And for anything to come on up on that Q&A, I welcome all of your questions. I'm originally a New Yorker, but I'm a Delawarean transplant. So, it's been a great place to be. I hope that all of you who are joining us are excited to come to Delaware if you've not been here before, to explore the first state and to get to know our campus a bit more. And while we are a week and a half out from move-in, I know it's February and people are like, what's the weather going to be like that day? I can't predict. If I had a crystal ball, man, I'd be a gazillionaire at this point. I can let you know though, if we have any type of predictions for any inclement weather in the area, we might adjust our check-in pieces, and we would send the information about that out via email to student their @udel.edu email address. Things might be posted on the website as well. But if you're coming from an area where you're experiencing a storm, and again, I'm from New York and originally a Long Islander, but I went to school in central New York at SUNY Oswego. I understand that it could be a completely different climate and tundra there. So do account for some of your own needs that we might not be seeing in our region. I'm not seeing anything else come up on the Q&A. Kelly, is there anything else that you would like to say to wrap us up?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to you, Michelle, for joining us today, and to all of you for hanging in there. If you have any additional questions, as always, you can email reslife-housing@udel.edu, or you can email us orientation and transition programs at otp@udel.edu, as well as families@udel.edu if there are any questions from our families here today. Otherwise, we encourage you to join our other upcoming live new student orientation sessions that you can find in the Canvas calendar, as well as the Blue Hen Family Hub. I believe we have a session tomorrow on textbooks. So if anyone's curious about how to buy your textbooks, the bookstore is one of our great partners on campus, and there's a lot to learn from them. So if you have any questions about virtual NSO, be sure to contact us at otp@udel.edu. Otherwise, I will see you all on Friday morning for your virtual new student orientation. Have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone.